I have seen under the sun. Riches were kept by their owners to their hurt, and those riches were lost in a bad venture. Though they are parents of children, they have nothing in their hands. As they came from their mother's womb, so they shall go again, naked as they came. They shall take nothing for their toil, which they may carry away with their hands. This also is a grievous ill. Just as they came, so shall they go. And what gain do they have from toiling for the wind? Besides, all their days they eat in darkness, in much vexation and sickness and resentment. This is what I have seen to be good. It is fitting to eat and drink and find enjoyment in all the toil with which one toils under the sun, the few days of the life God gives us. For this is our lot. Likewise, all to whom God gives wealth and possessions, and whom he enables to enjoy them, and to accept their lot and find enjoyment in their toil, this is the gift of God. For they will scarcely brood over the days of their lives, because God keeps them occupied with the joy of their hearts. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
So teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts to wisdom.
Return, O Lord, how long will you tarry? Be gracious to your servants.
Satisfy us by your steadfast love in the morning, so shall we rejoice and be glad all our days.
Make us glad as many days as you afflicted us, and as many years as we suffered adversity.
Show your servants your works, and your splendor to their children.
May the graciousness of the Lord our God be upon us. Prosper the work of our hands. Prosper our handiwork. The second reading is a reading from the book of Ephesians, the 5th chapter. Therefore, be imitators of God as beloved children, and live in love, as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us, a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. But fornication and impurity of any kind or greed must not even be mentioned among you, as is proper among saints. Entirely out of place is obscene, silly, and vulgar talk, but instead let there be thanksgiving. Be sure of this, that no fornicator or impure person or one who is greedy, that is, an idolater, has any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and of God. Let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of these things the wrath of God comes on those who are disobedient. Therefore do not be associated with them. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Please rise as you are able for the reading of the gospel.
Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Alleluia, alleluia.
The Holy Gospel according to Mark, the 10th chapter. Let's try that again. The Holy Gospel according to Matthew, the 6th chapter.
Glory to you, O God.
Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust consume, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust consumes, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. The eye is the lamp of the body. So if your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is unhealthy, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light in you is darkness, how great is the darkness? No one can serve two masters, for a slave will either hate the one and love the other, or be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God with wealth. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
Please be seated. Welcome to the beginning of 3 Sundays of Stewardship. Aren't you excited? Why are we talking about stewardship? Because it's biblical and it's part of our faith. The goal of our stewardship ministry is to help God's people grow in their relationship with Jesus through the use of time, talents, and treasures that God has entrusted to them. Some people feel a little squirmy when we bring up stewardship and membership in the church. Maybe they have past trauma around religious institutions. My wife was raised a Catholic, and she still pauses when we say we believe in the Catholic Church and the Creed. What do we identify membership in Christ Lutheran Church to be? As members, we give to support others who do ministry. That would be you and me and Russell and Tom and Kenneth and Christine, our secretary. We maintain the possessions of the church, such as our campus and the beach truck. And as members, we strive to live upright lives and be good citizens. That isn't very dangerous. That sounds like a pretty reasonable list. I think we can all agree, but people have been harmed by those words, membership. Charlie is one of the most faithful members of the church I grew up in Malamia. He attends church every Sunday. He gives offering and ministers to everyone who comes through the entrance of the church. He has held every baby that's come through the doors of the church. He will not become a member of the church because when he was a young Navy soldier, the church he belonged to asked him to remove his membership when he deployed overseas to fight in the war. Not once, but twice. The Christian thing to do would have been to support Charlie while he was far from home, with letters and care packages. I'm not sure why they asked him to do this, but it had a lasting impact on Charlie. As a church, we are called first to do no harm, and second to welcome all who choose to hear. What is success? That depends on what you value in life. If you value fortune, success depends on the standard of living and the number of dollars in your bank. If you value fame, success depends on how many people who know who you are or whether you're considered an influencer. If you value power, success is determined by the number of people under your control. Most people consider success a combination of all three: fortune, fame, and power. What then is success to you? What do you personally value? If you want to know what you value, then ask yourself where you put your time, energy, and money. Michelle will say, I put a lot of it into the church because I love what I do. In today's gospel lesson, Jesus is trying to help his disciples work through the issue of religious hypocrisy. We're going to focus in on those words about desires because our approach to our material possessions and prosperity is an indication of where our hearts truly are. Oh yeah, the trains are back. Here is what we hear in this passage. Make sure your heart is fixed on heavenly treasure and not on earthly treasure. Jesus is not saying make sure you fix your heart to the right treasure. He's saying make sure you treasure the right things because whatever you treasure is where your heart is found. So if we treasure earthly things like money and possessions, then our heart is fixed on them. We cannot change that. Only God can do that sort of work within us. My youngest daughter, Alicia, is very generous, but she has 102 Funko Pop figurines. That's a lot of toys. Collectibles, as they are all sealed in their boxes. I'm sure we can all relate in some area of our life that gives us joy. For me, it's crosses and sunflowers. Very good. How can we collect what we love and not become obsessed with it? Sharing your material goods is a great way to make sure they are not your treasure. Giving away wealth purifies our hearts and is a very good continual practice. What is your attitude when giving? Is it an attitude